Why is it that we feel like I can go out to eat for dinner, easily drop $100+ and then I hesitate for years to buy new like socks or t-shirts? Is this just me?
No.
I'm like,
that's
the
a really
other day
good
I
question.
realized I have some t-shirts, like, the white kind you just wear under stuff.
Oh God.
That are at least 5 years old. I mean, I think I've had some at times that are like a lot more than that. And I never think to replace them.
Right.
And then the other day I was like, I should buy some fresh t-shirts. I'm like, I can't spend the money.
You hesitated.
It's like $30. I'm like, $30? Man.
You know what? I don't know. My theory is that it's just boring.
Yeah.
It's like dinner is always going to be more
That's
fun
exciting, yeah.
than a white t-shirt.
Yeah.
However, that white t-shirt lives with us every single day.
This is gross.
So we really should.
So I did. I leveled up.
You leveled up.
And I don't know, how the algorithm works. It's like I think they sell it at Target. There's a newer brand, Tommy John, that makes like t-shirts and underwear and stuff. And it's been in my feed.
Is it
like
Tommy
crazy.
or John?
Both.
It's Tommy and John.
and John got together.
Tommy and John
reinvented the t-shirt. And so I'm going to buy some, but they were not cheap either.
They were not. Okay, but what's special about them? Can you just share, like, why is it better?
I have no idea. I'm currently
Are you waiting for him to get in the mail?
No, I have one on right now. I'm not fully convinced yet.
So maybe it takes a couple days to figure out
But
what's so special.
it was a leveling up from just the basic, Hanes or whatever.
Maybe it's just how you feel,
It's just me.
Yeah, it's just how you feel. You
Joe,
feel like,
back me up here.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. You should have saved the money and gone out to another dinner. That's my 2 cents. You don't get any compliments on your undershirts.
That's right.
There's no ROI there.
No, Joe's actually thinking, hey, I don't wear undershirts or socks.
He's like bare chest, baby.
Joe, my wife
He's like, I just
gets
throw that
so
t-shirt on.
furious at me because I have like probably 60% of my socks have holes in them and I don't want to get new ones.
Oh, you're one of those people, yeah.
Well, because
same thing.
do I want to spend the money on socks?
No, you want to go out to dinner.
Yeah.
Or actually, I don't want to get out to dinner, but I want to do something fun.
An
with
adventure.
It. An adventure.
Yeah, that's what you want.
There it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, it stops for me. If there's a hole in the sock, it's going
dead.
straight in the trash.
Okay.
It just bugs me.
Got a line? It's because your toe pops through.
Got boundaries, folks.
Got boundaries. You should. You are the CEO and owner of a coaching company where we work on boundaries with others.
Right.
So it's really important for me to hear that you have some.
Well, when you're a CEO,
CEO.
it really matters, these things.
Your boundaries have to be bigger and better than all of ours.
Okay, so I want to give a shout out today to Daniel, who has been in the membership and doing some coaching. And I just thought this was maybe helpful for people who, I think a lot of people will resonate with this. He had been working on some goals, getting momentum, and thinking about what's next career-wise before the end of the year. And then holidays hit, January hits. Like he basically said the other day, like, listen, I just need kind of a kick in the butt. I have fallen behind. I've kind of like stalled out. And it's just all the busyness and the new year. Mm-hmm. And so I just want to get back on track. And I said, way to go. Like, how awesome. Like, it was just such a humble, honest moment of like, I'm not going to try to sugarcoat it, make excuses. I just need to get back on track. I need help because I'm busy and overwhelmed. And I just thought that was such a cool moment. So then we kind of dove back into, all right, where were we with the plan? Pulled the plan back out. And kind of did a bit of a deep dive to get re-energized. And he said, okay, I'm so much more energized, like that motivation came back and I'm ready to take that next step. But then this is what he did, which everyone does. He started thinking like, okay, so what are the next 10 steps I need to take?
Yeah, no.
And I just called him really blunt, like, no. One step.
Yep.
Now, he's an achiever type, like a lot of people we might work with. And so you could see in his face in that moment that discomfort, like, oh, but that's not enough.
Like one step wasn't enough.
Yeah, it felt like cop out. And I can so relate to that. And so it was, just cool. This is one of the benefits of coaching. I really leaned in and pushed him on that. Like, just one. One is enough.
Just one.
Do one this week. And then we'll pick one for next week. And guess what? If you do the one this week, you might actually feel more energized and do another. That's great. Now you exceeded expectations versus falling short.
Hate that
The
feeling.
emotional psychological game is so important here. So just a
Awesome.
shout out to Daniel. I thought that was really, really cool of him.
Love it.
All right, today we want to talk about, is LinkedIn worth my time? Because if you haven't picked up yet, we're just starting to talk about some questions that are popping up or that are popular out there. And I kind of, like you, Sunday, like to boil the ocean down to, okay, let's think realistically here. Not what all the guides and tutorials would say.
Right.
Not all the LinkedIn experts. Their stuff is great.
Yeah.
You can go look at it for free. But what really makes the difference?
Yep.
So I thought we'd talk about it kind of on two different fronts because there's a lot of advice out there, but like people are busy. People are not spending hours of time checking out your LinkedIn. Like there's a few things that really matter the most. And that's what I want to talk about. It's kind of thinking about it from the perspective of who is looking at your LinkedIn. Who do you care about looking at your LinkedIn? Because we get a lot of questions, people in a career transition especially, they're like, so what's up with the LinkedIn thing? I had this just last week. And someone said, what's up with the LinkedIn? Am I like, what am I supposed, just tell me, what am I supposed to do there? Because he had been hearing all the tips and things out there of like, well, you got to be posting. Like he's just in a job transition. This is not like, he's not like a solopreneur trying to create a brand for himself. And he's like, do I need to be posting? What's the deal with that? And I just think I want to cut through the clutter.
Yeah, I'd love to take it one step further, which is the question really says, is it worth my time? And the answer is yes. I know you're going to go into like what people's perspective is, but I do have a lot of people who say things like, I'm a very private person, or I don't really like social media, things like that. I'm like, you can hate all the other things, but if you are in transition, especially, it's going to ding you to not have one because people just become skeptical. They look at your resume, then they look at your LinkedIn.
Your LinkedIn.
Your LinkedIn. And if you don't exist, it just causes one less thing for them to maybe push your resume to the side. So yes, it is worth your time.
It's like the DM you get on social media from someone who doesn't have a picture in their profile.
Yeah, it's the same kind of thing.
Or it's just their pet. And you're like
it's
are
fishy.
you real?
Yeah.
Are you a weirdo? Like this is, I totally agree. I remember there was a greenhouser a couple years back who was like, I do not like LinkedIn. I don't like social media. It's like, I get it. That's fine. But at least just set up a profile because people are going to use it as a checking mechanism to be like, are you legit?
That's it.
Does this back up what you said to me?
Yeah. Even if you keep that perspective, it's a great step in the right direction. They're just checking you compared to your resume to see if you're legit.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to tackle this on two fronts because a lot of people listening are either in one or a lot of times both of these buckets. So for job seekers and for business owners. So for job seekers, companies are really checking for legitimacy, like we're saying, whether that's you're in the interview process or headhunters are checking out your profile. They're looking for the legitimacy factor. And so I think you want to think about it, like the mindset I think of is, okay, make my LinkedIn back up my claims. So if I had a conversation with you and then you went and checked my LinkedIn, would it actually like back up what happened in that conversation? So again, like there's a lot of talk right now. I actually don't know why. Do you know why? There's a lot of talk about you need to be posting. Like if you're a job seeker, you need to be creating posts on LinkedIn.
I know. It's because it raises their level of visibility. It might sometimes also show that they're an expert in something. Sometimes they're just trying to catch the eye of a recruiter. They might post on, like, if you're a big data journalist, you're going to maybe post some things that you get it, just small discoveries, articles, books you read that just says, I'm a thinker and I'm a learner.
Yeah. Okay. So whatever. I'm fine with that.
But it's not for all seasons. It's not for all seasons, and it's not the number one hack.
And
it's just
I think
one of
what
them.
you're pointing out though is it could make sense for some jobs and fields.
Yep.
But I
not
think for a
all.
lot of like generalist roles, it just makes you look a little weird, like you're trying to prop yourself up too much. I think it's a little odd. It's
I do too. Yeah. And also
what's
too
your
much
goal
right
here?
Yeah.
It seems a little fake.
So that's a great question for them to just ask. Like what is the purpose? What is the purpose behind posting? What does it make you gain? Also look at others and see how do you feel when you look at theirs when they post? You got a good vibe, bad vibe? What vibes do you like? You know, like if you're feeling like they're all bad vibes, don't do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. Well, my point is I think it goes back to what you talk about often with job seekers. It's the resume, the LinkedIn, the interview. That's not what gets you the job. It's the conversations that get you the job. Actually, scratch that interview part.
Interview definitely. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
You the job. And so like what matters is if your LinkedIn's kind of backing up your claims, then just make sure you have like a good photo of yourself. It's well lit. You don't look too small in the, look at it where others are looking at it. Pull up on your phone. Don't have it on your desktop. Like look at how the other person is seeing you and make sure like the photo just looks good. Make sure the title and the intro paragraph are like real human language and represent the problem you solve and what you're all about. That's the main part people are going to see.
They do. Barely do they scroll down.
Barely do they scroll down. And then some people will scroll a little. So kind of making sure your past experiences show up the first few the way you want them.
To backtrack, it's the photo, the headline, and the about section.
Yeah.
Those three.
Yeah, I think that's the most important part, to just make sure that's there. You want some of your past experience. Just making sure those are kind of in place and good enough. That's the main thing. Of course, there's more you can do with LinkedIn and probably more you should do. But like that's the piece that matters the most. I just want to point out that for the description, this is where it can be the sticking point for people. It's like
the headline or the about section.
The about section.
Okay,
it's kind of like a writer's block. Like you hit that part and you're like, what do I say here? And especially if you're applying to different kinds of jobs, for example, what do you say there? And so I would just encourage people to check out the personal brand statement template, which is in our Land Your Ideal Job course. That outlines a simple way to talk about yourself clearly, concisely, but then here's the kicker, in a way that shows the problems that you solve for that company. I just don't think anyone can say this enough, because it's easy to talk about yourself, like what you want, because that's the mindset you're in, like what job I want. The company doesn't care what you want. They care what they want, which is they pay people to solve problems. So it's kind of just that shift of perspective.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like a user experience designer. Like they don't think about how the company wants it to look. They think about how the end user is feeling and experiencing it. So just shifting to that side of it.
The one other lens I love to throw out there is if you were to line up a whole wall full of civil engineers, blah, 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 they could all write the same thing. And you're like, well, which one, eeny, meeny, miny, mo? Or is there something you wrote that differentiated you just slightly, or humanized you, or you had a problem solving approach that just made me go, all right, that one, versus them all looking like the same.
Yeah, that's so good. I was listening to a copywriter on a podcast this morning, did this really well, the differentiating factor, because he could advertise their company in a million different ways, talking about the benefits of copywriting. And when you're creating a website, you need a good copywriter. And that kind of all just goes over your head. Like it doesn't catch your attention. But then he said something that was like, here's the deal. Most people, they're creating their website for the first time, and they just try to do it themselves, because why would you pay for a copywriter? I know how to write words. But then they get stuck. And they're frustrated and they overthink it. And then they actually cycle through redoing it time after time after time. And if they're like me, even like paying for people to do it time after time after time. And I end up spending way more money and time on it than if I would have just hired a copywriter from the first place.
Yep.
So it's like, now that catches my attention, right? It's like that differentiator versus just the blah, blah, blah that every other copywriter says.
Exactly.
All right. Any other thoughts on the job seeker? I think that's good.
Oh, I guess one more would be like, it doesn't hurt to have current references on your LinkedIn if you're in that mode. Just don't let your references be from 10,
No, that's a good point, because LinkedIn makes it so easy. You just click and invite someone you've worked with to write a review on you. And And then that also, it's very real. Like it's another person. It was not a staged thing. It wasn't like I am saying someone else's quote. They are saying it and their picture's next to it.
Yeah, that's probably my only one.
That's good. All right. So shifting to entrepreneurs, business owners, solopreneurs, whatever you
I'm looking forward to hearing
call
this
yourself.
because I don't really focus as much on the LinkedIn page with the business owners.
Yeah. I mean, what's funny to me is, and we have so many people at Greenhouse who are in both buckets, like they have a job and a business.
Yeah.
Or they're in one and considering the other. It's all the principles overlap. Like Curious Conversations is the most important thing we talk about with job seekers and with startup entrepreneurs. So I want you to think about LinkedIn as a channel to help your people, like the people that you are trying to serve in your business. Think of LinkedIn as another channel, another avenue to help them. I think that's the most clarifying way to think about it, because there's a million different hacks. I think more than 10 DMs a day from these like LinkedIn experts who are trying to sell me on like how to use LinkedIn to 10x your business.
Yeah.
And I'm just like delete. Because really that stuff is all peripheral. So if you think about it as a way to help your people, then your posts can be ways that can be like tips and solutions that help them solve their problem. So really anything you're doing with a client or a customer, if you have a physical product, I mean, that's a little different story, but any way that you kind of help them or can solve their problem, any tips or advice you have, like we're sharing today, can go into posts. And then that's like, you're helping them take steps forward in a way that's valuable to them. They want to see your content. They want to share it with others. There's another avenue that LinkedIn has now called the services page. And it's another way to help them, which is like, you can list yourself as a service provider. And then when other people are looking for help, they can search their area or certain fields and find you and hire you. So that's also, I think, a valuable and useful way to use LinkedIn.
Yeah, I agree.
But both are thinking of it as, how do I help my people? LinkedIn is primarily, in terms of like who is engaging on that platform compared to Instagram, TikTok, whatever. It's mainly business owners, job seekers, recruiters, and then people just like in a mode of professional growth. So I think that's also helpful to think about, like, is your target audience there? Like, is that worth your time? For us, it is, because we serve that whole list of people. But for you, it may not be. So, free yourself up. You don't have to use every single platform. But in the end, I think the personal, natural tone really stands out on any platform, but especially LinkedIn, because it's geared towards that professional setting.
Yeah, I feel like if you are a professional, it's a great place to land. It's just be there. You don't have to do a lot.
Yeah.
Just be there. Very funny too. I've had a few people who have like heard some of my tips, what they should do to spruce up their LinkedIn or whatever. And they're not a business owner and they're not a job seeker. And they're like, oh, I love this. I'd love to give mine a little bit fresh look or something like that. And they're like, but if I make changes, are people going to assume I'm a job seeker now? I just think it's a riot. And I'm like, first of all, if anyone asks, you say, no, I just listened to a great podcast and they just told me I should up the ante. And I'm just kind of updating my look and my skill sets. Yeah. So it isn't the norm anymore to just change it when you are a job seeker. You can but keep it fresh.
Yeah. One other thought for really anyone, but especially the entrepreneur, is that not only does natural stand out because a lot of stuff on the platform feels fake or businessy, like overly professional, but also the way your content shows up in some ways can be better than the other platforms. So you know how like the switch that TikTok made is they show your stuff to new people, not just your followers. Well, LinkedIn actually was already doing that. No one talks about this, but LinkedIn, let's say I make a post and you like it. It'll now show up to all of your followers. And it's not like clockwork, but it can show up to all your followers. And then one of them likes it shows up to all their followers. So I remember one of the first posts I had on LinkedIn for Greenhouse got like 20,000 views. I'm going, what? Like, On Instagram, it got 3. Like
Right.
what's going on? And it's because it can have the snowball effect.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Also, when people open their LinkedIn feed, it'll often like show that last post again.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a nice snowball effect that can happen that makes it worthwhile. Again, if your people are on that platform.
Right.
So I just thought that is the place to start and the place to focus as a business owner, is think about it as a channel to help your people. All right. One of my kind of overarching thoughts here is like, don't just get on social as like a hamster wheel. I think a lot of people get burnt out when they just, this especially is true for entrepreneurs. Like, oh, I'm supposed to be doing all these things. I have to be doing all these things.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. It's a tricky place because the comparison trap is real. So I would just encourage people, like, step back. I have to do this on the weekly with myself, like step back and think, wait, what is the purpose of going onto LinkedIn or to interacting on LinkedIn? And then what are the things that make sense with that?
Yeah, I love the perspective that you brought today with keeping it. My favorite takeaway too was just flipping the switch, just thinking about the perspective that others have when they're looking at your page.
Yeah.
If you can keep that in mind, I think it'll take away some of the stress and simplify the process for you.
Yeah. So if you're trying to work on your page and you actually want more of a step-by-step guide, like I said, the Land Your Ideal Job course has all of that in it. And so you can go to greenhousecoaching.co/membership and get access to the course there. But also, I just wanted to mention, we have this really great tool called the Career Transition Planner. And so anyone who's in some type of transition, I think it's very normal to be stuck thinking like, I don't even really know where to start because this is just overwhelming. And I don't even know how to think through like, what's possible for me? What would be my approach and my plans, and where do I go from here? And so the planner is a very simple guide that just uses some of the questions we have in coaching to say, all right, start to think through like the timeline and the money and what you want and what you don't want. And by the end of it, you just feel a lot lighter. So link is in the show notes. You can download and just check out that planner.